Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will be looking at Best Girl Mizuki. Mizuki is a 6-star stalker specialist. This class specializes in stalling enemy movements while dealing decent amounts of damage. The trait of this archetype is that Mizuki has a 50% chance to dodge physical and arts attacks and is less likely to be targeted by enemies. This means ranged enemies will usually ignore Mizuki and will prioritize attacking the other most recently deployed operator in range. This trait allows Mizuki to survive huge waves of enemies without needing much heals. Looking at Mizuki's stats, his attack is absurdly high, which is common for this archetype. With trust bonus added, Mizuki's attack reaches 975. He has a decent defense and a high resistance, but has 0 block count and a disturbingly long attack interval. While Mizuki has an extremely high attack, his long attack interval causes his overall DPS to drop. When facing against fast-paced enemies, they might even run past Mizuki's range without taking any damage at all. This makes Mizuki a rather difficult operator to play with. Looking at his talents, his first talent makes Mizuki's attacks deal additional 50% of attack as arts damage to the target with the lowest HP. This talent can somewhat increase Mizuki's DPS potential in most scenarios. His second talent states that when there are enemies with less than 50% HP within attack range, Mizuki's attack increases by 10%. This talent can easily be triggered due to Mizuki's bind effect, a decent talent. Moving on to his skills, Mizuki's first skill states that his next attack deals 230% of attack as physical damage and increases the damage multiplier of the first talent to 2.3 times. This skill is the worst skill to use on Mizuki as it defeats the purpose of using a stalker specialist to stall enemies. Yeah. Don't mastery this skill at all. Mizuki's second skill states that his attack interval reduces moderately. Attack plus 20% and Mizuki's first talent targets one additional enemy and inflicts bind for 1 second. This skill has a relatively cheap SP cost and a decent skill uptime. However, the maximum number of enemies that can be bound is only 2, which might not be enough in certain scenarios. Even so, this skill is quite decent and is probably worth mastery. However, Mizuki's third skill is probably a better option to mastery. Mizuki's third skill states that his attack range expands, attack plus 105%. His first talent targets 2 additional enemies and inflicts stun for 1 second. When attacks hit less than 3 enemies, Mizuki loses 15% of own max HP. The attack buff from this skill is absurdly high, but instead of binding enemies, this skill stuns them instead. When the skill is active, Mizuki's damage output is actually quite decent. However, this skill has a large SP cost of 70, which means most of the time, Mizuki will only be doing basic attacks. He also loses HP when his attacks hit less than 3 enemies, so a healer might be needed to keep him alive. Even so, this skill has a decent uptime and when used well, Mizuki can not only stall enemies, he can also deal damage, making him a unit worth being a 6-star. So, should you pull for Mizuki? Well, considering the fact that Mizuki is running alongside Chen Alter, he gets outshined by Chen quite badly in terms of damage, but as a cute stalker specialist with powerful combat abilities, Mizuki is definitely your go-to option. And that is all. Hope this video was helpful in introducing the new operator Mizuki's kit. This is part 3 of the new operator guide series, so do consider subscribing to stay tuned when the other parts are released. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.